Have you ever stood at the bottom of a mountain, looking up at what seems like an impossible climb? That's where I found myself, not on a physical mountain, but facing the steepest challenge of my life. The kind that makes your knees weak and your spirit question everything you thought you knew about yourself. You see, life has this fascinating way of delivering our greatest lessons wrapped in our deepest pain. It's as if the universe knows exactly what we need to learn, and sometimes those lessons come packaged in ways that initially feel like pure devastation. When hardship strikes, and it will strike, what's your first instinct? Do you feel the weight of it crushing you down? Or do you sense somewhere deep inside a spark of possibility? That tiny voice whispering that maybe this challenge could be the foundation of something. I've spent countless hours sitting with people who faced the darkest moments imaginable. Some emerged stronger, while others remained trapped in the shadows of their pain. The difference isn't in the magnitude of their struggles, it's in their response. It's in that critical moment when they decide whether to use their hardship as a building block or allow it to become a wrecking ball. Think about a diamond for a moment. Before it becomes the brilliant gem we admire, it endures immense pressure deep beneath the Earth's surface. Without that pressure, it would remain just another piece of carbon, unremarkable and hidden. Our hardships are like that pressure. They have the power to transform us into something extraordinary, but only if we choose to embrace the process. Every person in this room has faced their own version of that pressure. You've all had moments where life seemed to be testing your limits, pushing you to the edge of what you thought you could handle. Some of you are in that space right now, wondering how much more you can take. Here's what I want you to understand. The hardship you're facing isn't your enemy. It's not a punishment or a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's an invitation to discover strengths you never knew you had, to develop resilience you never thought possible, and to create a version of yourself that surpasses anything you've imagined. When we're in the midst of difficulty, it's natural to ask, why me? But what if we change that question to what for? What if, instead of seeing our challenges as obstacles, we began to view them as opportunities, not just opportunities for growth, but chances to completely redefine what we're capable of. I remember working with someone who lost everything in a natural disaster. Their home, their business, every material possession, gone in a matter of hours. Most people would understand if they had given up, if they had allowed that loss to break them. But they made a different choice. They looked at their empty hands and saw not what was lost, but what could be built anew. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying the reality of pain. It's about understanding that pain and growth often travel together. It's about recognizing that while we can't always control what happens to us, we have absolute control over how we respond. Think about water for a moment. When faced with an obstacle, water doesn't stop. It finds a way around, over or through. It adapts, it persists, and in doing so, it can transform the hardest stone into smooth pebbles. That's the kind of adaptability we're capable of. But it requires a conscious choice. The choice isn't always easy. Sometimes it means sitting with uncomfortable truths about ourselves. Sometimes it means acknowledging that our old ways of thinking and being no longer serve us. Sometimes it means letting go of the story we've been telling ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. There's the beautiful thing about making that choice. It compounds. Each time you choose to build rather than break, you're not just handling the current challenge. You're developing the strength and wisdom to handle future ones. You're creating a foundation that future challenges will only reinforce, not destroy. Consider how a tree grows stronger when exposed to wind. The force that could potentially break it actually causes it to develop deeper roots and stronger bark. Our challenges can serve the same purpose, but only if we stay rooted in the belief that we're growing through them, not just going through them. Like, what if you started looking at your current challenges through this lens? What if instead of asking, how can I get through this? You ask, how can I grow through this? What if every obstacle became an opportunity, every setback a setup for the hardships you face don't define you. Your response to them does. Every difficulty carries within it the seeds of equal or greater benefit, But those seeds only grow if you plant them. They only flourish if you nurture them with your attention, your belief, and your consistent action. You might be thinking this sounds good in theory, but how does it work in practice? How do you actually make that shift from seeing hardship as a breaking point to viewing it as a building block? It starts with understanding that transformation isn't an event. It's a process. And like any process, it begins with a single step, a single moment of decision. That moment often comes when we're at our lowest, when the pain of staying the same finally exceeds the fear of change. Let me share something powerful with you. The very thing that feels like it's breaking you can become the force that makes you unbreakable. But this transformation requires a fundamental shift in how we view our challenges. It's about developing what I call transformational vision, the ability to see beyond the current pain to the potential it holds. Think of yourself as an alchemist of old, someone who could transform base metals into gold. Your hardships are your raw material. Your mindset, your choices, your actions, these are your tools of transformation. The question isn't whether you have what it takes. The question is whether you're ready to begin the process. The first step in this alchemical process is acceptance. Not resignation, but true acceptance of where you are right now. When we resist our reality, we create additional suffering. When we accept it, we free up energy that can be used for transformation. This doesn't mean you like what's happening or that you want it to continue. It simply means you're willing to acknowledge your current reality as the starting point of your journey. The second step is what I call reframing with purpose. This is where you begin to ask different questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Ask, what could this be preparing me for? Instead of, how can I get out of this? Ask, what can I get out of this? These questions shift your focus from victimhood to empowerment, from passive suffering to active growth. Consider how a master sculptor approaches a block of marble. They don't see just the rough stone. They see the masterpiece waiting to be revealed. Every chip, every cut, every seemingly destructive action serves a greater purpose. Your hardships are like that sculptor's chisel, revealing the masterpiece that is your true potential. They wait for motivation before taking action. They wait to feel strong before they start building. Here's the truth. Action creates motivation. Strength develops through use. You don't have to feel ready to begin. You just have to begin. Start small. Find one aspect of your challenge that you can address today. Maybe it's simply changing how you talk about your situation. Instead of saying, I'm going through something terrible, try, I'm going through something challenging. This isn't just playing with words. It's rewiring your brain to see possibilities where it once saw only problems. Every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once a beginner. Every strong person was once weak. The difference, they chose to use their struggles as steps rather than stops. They understood that discomfort is the price of transformation. Think about how a butterfly emerges from its chrysalis. If you were to help it by cutting open the cocoon, you'd actually prevent it from developing the strength it needs to survive. The struggle is essential to its transformation. Your struggles are developing strengths you don't even know you need yet. But transformation isn't just about developing strength. It's about developing wisdom. It's about learning to distinguish between what you can control and what you can't. It's about understanding that while you can't always choose your circumstances, you can always choose your response to them. This is where many of us need to shift our focus. We spend so much energy trying to control external circumstances when our real power lies in controlling our internal response. The question isn't, why did this happen? But who do I want to become because this happened? So every challenge you face is actually a question asking, who will you become? Will you become bitter or better? Will you become fearful or fearless? Will you become closed off or more compassionate? These aren't just philosophical questions. They're practical choices you make every single day through your responses to difficulty. You might be thinking, but you don't understand how hard my situation is. You're right. I don't. Nobody can fully understand another person's pain. But what I do understand is this: your capacity for growth is greater than any, your potential for transformation is greater than any trial you're enduring. Think of your hardships as a forge. In the hands of a skilled blacksmith, intense heat and repeated hammering don't destroy the metal. They strengthen it, shape it, and make it more valuable. Your challenges are your forge, and you're both the blacksmith and the metal being transformed. This brings us to a crucial understanding. Building yourself through hardship isn't about becoming hardened or insensitive. It's about becoming more resilient while maintaining your sensitivity. It's about developing the strength to stay open-hearted even after being... It's about becoming someone who can hold both power and compassion. The real transformation happens when you stop seeing your hardships as something happening to you and start seeing them as something happening for you. This isn't about denying the pain or difficulty. It's about expanding your perspective to include the possibility of purpose in your pain. What if everything you're going through right now is actually preparing you for something greater than you imagined? What if your current challenges are actually the foundation stones of your future strength? What if your struggles aren't breaking you, but actually breaking you open to reveal something more beautiful than you've ever been before? Let's talk about what this transformation looks like in practice. Because understanding the principle is one thing, living it is entirely another. It's in the daily choices, the moment-by-moment decisions where real transformation takes place. You see, resilience isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you build one choice at a time. Think of it like building a house. Every positive choice you make, every time you choose to grow instead of give up, you're laying another brick in your foundation of strength. But here's what most people don't realize about resiliency. It's not about being unbreakable. It's about becoming incredibly skilled at rebuilding. It's about developing the confidence that no matter what comes your way, you have the tools and the capacity to... Let me share something profound with you. And the strongest people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who've never fallen. They're the ones who've fallen countless times and gotten back up. They're not strong because they haven't faced difficulty. They're strong because they've faced it head-on and chosen to learn from it. This brings us to what I call the 3 pillars of transformation. The first pillar is perspective shifting. This isn't about positive thinking, it's about powerful thinking. It's about training your mind to automatically look for opportunities and obstacles. What's the opportunity here? Not because you're trying to be optimistic, but because you're being strategic. Every challenge carries within it the seeds of opportunity, but you have to be looking for them to find them. The second pillar is purposeful action. Knowledge without action is like having a map but never taking the journey. It's not enough to understand that hardship can build you. You have to actively engage in the building process. This means taking consistent action, even when you don't feel like it, even when you can't see immediate results. Think about how water shapes rock. It's not through occasional floods, but through consistent, persistent action. Your transformation works the same way. It's not the occasional burst of effort that creates lasting change. It's the daily choices, the small actions that might seem insignificant in the moment, but compound over time. The third pillar is what I call conscious growth. This is about being intentional about your transformation. It's about regularly asking yourself, how am I different because of this challenge? What am I learning? How am I becoming stronger? This is where journaling becomes powerful. When you write about your challenges and your responses to them, you begin to see patterns. You start to notice your growth. You create a record of your transformation that can inspire you during future difficulties. They wait for the perfect moment to begin their transformation. They think they need to feel ready to have everything figured out. Here's the truth: transformation doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It happens in the mess, in the uncertainty, in the not knowing. Think about how a seed grows. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It grows where it's planted. It pushes through whatever is in its way, whether that's hard soil rocks or concrete. Your growth works the same way. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need to start where you are. This brings us to another crucial understanding. So the power of small wins. Every time you choose growth over giving up, you're not just handling the current situation. You're building your capacity for future challenges. You're developing what I call your resilience muscle. Just like physical muscles, your resilience muscle grows stronger through use Each challenge you face and overcome makes you better equipped for the next one. But here's the key. You have to actively engage with the challenge. Merely enduring isn't enough. You need to be intentional about your growth through it. Consider how different your life could be 6 months from now if you started applying these principles today. What if every challenge became an opportunity for growth? What if every setback became a setup for a comeback? What if every difficulty became a chance to develop strengths you didn't know you had? This isn't about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's about developing the inner resources to handle whatever isn't fine. It's about building the strength to carry your burdens while maintaining your grace. It's about becoming someone who can face any storm because you've learned how to dance in the rain. The transformation we're talking about isn't just about surviving hardship. It's about using it as a catalyst for becoming more than you ever thought possible. It's about turning your wounds into wisdom, your struggles into strength, your challenges into... Every masterpiece of art started as a blank canvas. Every great story includes chapters of difficulty. Every meaningful transformation involves moments of challenge. Your hardships aren't the end of your story, they're the beginning of a new chapter. But with this transformation requires your active participation. It requires you to show up day after day, making the choice to build rather than break. It requires you to believe in possibilities you can't yet see, to trust in strength you haven't yet developed. Think about the person you could become if you used every challenge as a building block. Think about the wisdom you could develop, the strength you could build, the impact you could have on others who are facing similar challenges. Here's the transformation isn't just about you. As you learn to build yourself through hardship, you become a living example of what's possible. You become proof that challenges don't have to break us, that they can, in fact, be the very things that make us unbreakable. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in discussions about transformation, is sustainability. Because starting the journey is one thing, but maintaining that transformation through all of life's ups and downs, that's where the real magic happens. You see, sustainable transformation isn't about maintaining constant forward momentum. It's about developing what I call resilient progress, the ability to keep moving forward even when you face setbacks, even when the path isn't clear, even when everything in you wants to go back to old patterns. Think about how a river flows. It doesn't move in a straight line. It meanders, it curves, it sometimes seems to go backward, but it always makes its way to the ocean. Your transformation journey works the same way. Progress isn't always linear, but that doesn't mean it's not progress. This is where we need to talk about what I call the integration phase of transformation. This is where your new way of handling challenges becomes not just something you do, but part of who you are. It's where building through hardship becomes your natural response rather than something you have to consciously choose every time. But here's what most people don't realize about this integration phase. It often feels like you're going backward before you leap forward. It's like pulling back a bow before releasing the arrow. That backward motion is essential for forward progress. During these apparent backward steps, remember this: confusion often precedes clarity. Discomfort often precedes growth. Doubt often precedes breakthrough. These aren't signs that you're failing. They're signs that you're integrating deeper levels of transformation. Let's talk about what I call the 4 cornerstones of sustainable transformation. The first cornerstone is conscious choice. This means making deliberate decisions about how you'll respond to challenges, especially when your old patterns are screaming for attention. The second cornerstone is consistent practice. This isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about choosing to build rather than break, not just once or twice, but hundreds of times in small ways. It's about making this choice so many times that it becomes your default response. The third cornerstone is community connection. Transformation doesn't happen in isolation. You need people who understand your journey, who can reflect your progress back to you, who can support you when the path gets tough. This doesn't mean they carry your burden. It means they witness your strength in carrying it. The fourth cornerstone is continuous growth. This means understanding that transformation isn't a destination. It's a journey. There's no point where you're done growing, no point where you've learned all there is to learn. Each challenge brings new opportunities for expansion, new chances to build greater strength. Think about how a tree grows. It doesn't just grow up, it grows down and out. Its roots deepen as its branches expand. Your transformation works the same way. As you face new challenges, you're not just building new strengths, you're deepening your existing ones. This brings us to what I call the paradox of transformation. The more you build yourself through hardship, the more challenges you become capable of handling. But here's the beautiful part. Those challenges don't feel as overwhelming because you've built the capacity to handle them. It's like working out at the gym. The weights don't get lighter, you get stronger. The challenges in your life might not get easier, but your ability to handle them grows exponentially. You develop what I call transformational momentum. Each challenge you overcome makes the next one more manageable. But here's where many people get tripped up. They mistake stability for stagnation. They think that because they're not constantly struggling, they're not growing. The truth is, true transformation creates a kind of dynamic stability, the ability to remain centered even while continuing to grow. Think about how a skilled surfer rides waves. They're not fighting against the water. They're working with it. They've learned to maintain their balance even while moving forward. Your relationship with challenges can work the same way. You can learn to maintain your center even while navigating difficult waters. This brings us to another crucial understanding. The power of what I call is that transformational identity. This isn't about who you are now. It's about who you're becoming. It's about seeing yourself as someone who is capable of handling whatever life presents. Someone who can find opportunity in adversity, someone who builds rather than breaks. Every time you choose to build through hardship, you're not just handling the current situation, you're reinforcing this transformational identity. You're becoming more of who you're capable of being. You're not just surviving your challenges, you're using them as stepping stones to your highest potential. But this kind of sustainable transformation requires something from you. It requires patience with the process. It requires understanding that just as a wound needs time to heal, transformation needs time to integrate. You can't rush the process, but you can trust it. The oak tree doesn't grow to half its height and then give up because it's taking too long. It keeps growing day after day, season after season, becoming stronger and more majestic with each passing year. Your transformation works the same way. It's not about speed, it's about consistency. Think about who you're becoming through this process. Think about the wisdom you're gaining, the strengths you're building, the resilience you're developing. Think about how your relationship with challenges is changing, how your capacity for growth is expanding. Sustainable transformation isn't just about handling the challenges you face today. It's about developing the capacity to handle whatever challenges tomorrow might bring. It's about becoming someone who doesn't just survive difficulty, but thrives through it. As we bring our journey together to a close, I want you to think about something profound. Every challenge you face isn't just about you. It's about the ripple effect your transformation creates in the world. When you choose to build rather than break, you're not just changing your own life, you're changing the lives of everyone you touch. Think about the people watching you right now. Your family, your friends, your colleagues, even strangers who cross your path. They're watching how you handle adversity. They're learning from your example. Your choice to build through hardship doesn't just strengthen you, it shows others what's possible. This is what I call the legacy of transformation. It's about understanding that your journey of turning challenges into building blocks creates a blueprint for others. Your struggles, your choices, your growth, they all become part of a larger story that can inspire and guide others facing similar challenges. But here's something crucial to understand. Your transformation doesn't need to be perfect to be powerful. In fact, it's often in your imperfect progress that others find the most hope. When they see you stumble and get back up, when they witness your determination to keep building even when it's difficult, that's when they begin to believe it's possible for them too. Consider the impact of what you're doing. Every time you choose growth over bitterness, every time you choose to learn from your challenges rather than be defined by them, you're showing others a different way of responding to life's difficulties. You're demonstrating that hardship doesn't have to harden your heart. It can actually open it wider. This brings us to what I call the circle of impact. As you build yourself through hardship, you develop not just strength, but wisdom. Not just resilience, but compassion. Not just endurance, but understanding. These qualities don't just serve you. They serve everyone around you. Think about how different our world would be if more people understood this truth. That hardship isn't meant to break us, but to build us into something stronger, something wiser, something more capable of making a positive difference in the world. Think about how this understanding could transform families, communities, even entire societies. You see, when you choose to build through hardship, you're not just changing your own story. You're contributing to a larger narrative of human potential. You're showing that it's possible to face life's greatest challenges and emerge not just intact, but enhanced. Not just surviving, but thriving. This is where your journey takes on even greater meaning. Because as you develop the ability to build through hardship, you also develop the capacity to help others do the same. Your struggles become your credentials. Your challenges become your teaching tools. Your transformation becomes a lighthouse for others finding their way through dark times. But remember this, your impact doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from being willing to stay in the questions. It comes from being honest about your struggles while remaining committed to your growth. It comes from showing others that transformation is possible, not because you're special, but because you're persistent. Think about the gift you're giving to future generations. When you demonstrate that hardship can be used as a building block rather than a breaking point, you're creating a new possibility in their minds. You're showing them that they don't have to be victims of their circumstances. They can be architects of their transformation. This is the ultimate legacy of transformation. Not just changing your own life, but changing how others see what's possible in theirs. It's about creating a ripple effect of resilience, a cascade of courage that touches lives you may never even meet. As you leave here today, I want you to carry this truth with you. Every challenge you face is an opportunity, not just an opportunity for personal growth, but an opportunity to demonstrate the incredible capacity of the human spirit to build through hardship. Every time you choose to grow through your challenges, rather than just go through them, you're contributing to a larger story of human possibility. Your struggles are not just about you. Your transformation is not just for you. The strength you build, the wisdom you gain, the resilience you develop, these become gifts you give to the world. They become part of your legacy, part of the light you leave behind. So I ask you, what will you build with your hardships? What story will you tell through your transformation? What legacy will you create through your choice to use challenges as building blocks rather than breaking points? We all face hardship. We all encounter challenges. We all meet moments that could either break us or build us. The difference lies in our choice. And that choice ripples out far beyond our own lives. You have within you right now everything you need to begin this transformation. You have the capacity to turn your challenges into stepping stones. You have the power to use your hardships as building blocks for something greater than you've imagined. The question isn't whether you can do it. The question is whether you will choose to do it. Whether you will decide right here, right now, to see your challenges differently, to use them differently, to allow them to build you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable of making a positive difference in the world. Your transformation journey doesn't end here in many ways. It's just beginning. But you're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. You're starting from wisdom gained through every challenge you've already. You're starting with the understanding that hardship doesn't have to break you. It can be the very thing that builds you into who you're meant to become. Take this understanding with you. Let it guide you through your challenges. Let it remind you that every difficulty you face is an opportunity to build not just yourself, but a legacy of transformation that will continue to impact lives long after you're gone. The choice is yours. The time is now. The opportunity is here. What will you build with it? Stand tall in your challenges. Build strong through your hardships. Create a legacy of transformation that will inspire generations to come. Because remember, your choice to build rather than break doesn't just change your life. It changes every life you touch, every heart you inspire, every soul you show what's possible. You are the architect of your transformation. You are the builder of your legacy. You are the author of your story. Make it one that shows others the power of using hardship as a building block rather than a breaking point. Make it one that inspires others to discover their own capacity for transformation. Make it one that leaves the world better than you found it. The journey continues. The building never stops. The transformation never ends. But with each step, with each choice, with each challenge faced and overcome, you're creating something beautiful, something powerful, something that will outlast any hardship and outshine any darkness. Build on. Build strong. Build with purpose. Your legacy of transformation awaits.